Let me begin with a question. Have you ever woken up in the morning, reached for your cup of coffee, and suddenly felt your hand slip? Or tried to say a simple word, but the sound came out broken, as if your mouth forgot how to move? These moments last only a few seconds, but they can be the very first whispers of a stroke. Most people ignore them. They blame being tired, being stressed, or simply getting old. But in my 30 years as a neurologist, I have seen how these tiny signals can lead to life-changing events within hours or days. The New York Times recently reported that nearly 800,000 Americans suffer a stroke every year. That is almost one person every 40 seconds. Imagine this. By the time you finish brewing your morning coffee, another American's life has been turned upside down. But I am not here to frighten you. I am here to remind you that a stroke is not always inevitable. Your body often sends small warnings. If you learn to notice them and act quickly, you can change the story of your health. So I ask you, have you ever felt a sudden weakness, a slip in your speech, or a moment of confusion that passed quickly? Do you see yourself in these stories? If yes, write the number 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. I want to hear from you. And if this resonates with you, please subscribe and ring the bell so we do not lose touch. Because protecting your brain before it needs saving, that is the greatest gift you can give yourself. Number 1, the hidden beginnings of a stroke. When people think of a stroke, they often imagine something sudden and dramatic, a collapse, slurred speech, or the inability to move one side of the body. While that image is true, the beginnings of a stroke are often much quieter, much more hidden. They start with moments so small that many people simply dismiss them. Have you ever felt your arm go weak for a few seconds, only to regain strength shortly after? Or perhaps you lost your balance while walking across the living room, blaming it on the rug or your shoes. These moments seem minor, but for someone in their 60s or 70s, they can be the first whispers of a brain under stress. In my 30 years as a neurologist, I have seen too many patients ignore these early signs. They laugh them off, call it clumsiness, or say, "I am just getting older." But the truth is the brain rarely makes mistakes without a reason. Each slip, each stumble, each sudden moment of confusion can be a message. The brain is telling you that its blood flow is not as steady as it should be. The Washington Post once reported that up to 1 in 5 older adults who later suffer a major stroke had already experienced smaller warning episodes they either ignored or did not recognize. That is 20% of cases where the body had already spoken. Imagine how many lives could be different if those warnings were taken seriously. This is where awareness becomes powerful. When you notice a change, no matter how small, pay attention. Write it down, tell a family member, share it with your doctor. Because prevention is not about waiting for the big event. It is about catching the small ones before they grow. I want to ask you directly, have you ever felt weakness, dizziness, or trouble speaking that passed quickly, and you did not think much of it? If so, you are not alone. Write in the comments and let others know. Sharing your story might encourage someone else to seek help before it is too late. Your brain is wise. It does not stay silent when something is wrong. The key is learning to listen. Number 2, what happens inside the brain during a stroke? When we talk about a stroke, many people only think of the outward signs, slurred speech, a drooping face, or weakness in the arm or leg. But to truly understand why it is so dangerous, we need to look inside the brain itself. Your brain is like a city that never sleeps. Every second, it needs a steady flow of oxygen and nutrients carried by the blood. Without that constant supply, brain cells begin to struggle. And unlike other parts of the body, brain cells are fragile. They cannot survive without oxygen for long. Within just a few minutes, they begin to die. When brain cells die, the functions they control are lost, sometimes permanently. Imagine for a moment that your brain is a house filled with lights. Blood is the electricity that keeps the lights on. If the power is cut off in one room, that light goes dark. You may suddenly lose the ability to move an arm, to speak clearly, or even to see. If the outage spreads, more lights go out. That is what a stroke feels like inside the brain. Lights switching off one by one as blood flow is blocked or interrupted. In my practice, I often explain this to patients by reminding them that every stroke is different. Why? Because it depends on which room of the brain loses power. Some people lose memory, some lose balance, and others lose control of their emotions. This is why no two strokes look exactly alike. The New York Times once highlighted research showing that brain cells can begin to die within 4 to 5 minutes after blood flow stops. Think about that, less than the time it takes to boil an egg. This is why doctors often say, time is brain. The faster you respond, the more of your brain you can save. So let me ask you, have you ever thought about what you would do if a loved one suddenly showed these signs? Would you know how to call emergency services right away? Would you know how to act fast? Remember this truth. A stroke is not just an attack on the body, it is an attack on your identity, your memories, and your ability to live freely. And the best defense is understanding what happens inside, so you will never hesitate when the signs appear. Number 3, the two faces of stroke, blockage and bleeding. When people hear the word stroke, they often picture it as one single event. But in reality, there are two very different kinds of strokes, and understanding the difference can help you recognize why treatment is so urgent. The first type is called an ischemic stroke. This happens when a blood vessel in the brain gets blocked. Imagine a water pipe in your home that slowly collects debris until no water can pass through. In the same way, fatty deposits and cholesterol can build up in your arteries, forming a blockage. Sometimes a blood clot forms suddenly and slams the door shut on blood flow. When this happens in the brain, the cells beyond the blockage begin to die. The second type is a hemorrhagic stroke. Instead of being blocked, the blood vessel bursts. Picture a garden hose that springs a leak under pressure, water spraying everywhere. In the brain, when a vessel breaks, blood spills into the surrounding tissue. Not only does this cut off normal blood supply, but the leaked blood also creates dangerous pressure inside the skull, irritating and damaging nearby brain cells. Both types are devastating, but they are not treated the same. This is why every minute matters when someone shows signs of stroke. If doctors know it is a blockage, they may use medicines to dissolve the clot or procedures to remove it. If it is a bleed, those same medicines could make the problem worse. In my years of practice, I have seen patients wait at home, hoping symptoms would pass. By the time they arrived at the hospital, the damage was much harder to treat. The Washington Post has reported on cases where early treatment meant the difference between walking out of the hospital and never walking again. So let me ask you, have you or someone close to you ever been told you had mini clots or weakened vessels? Did you brush it off, thinking it was not serious? These warnings are like cracks in the foundation of a house. Ignore them and one day the whole structure can fall. A stroke can come in two forms, blockage or bleeding. Both steal time, both steal abilities. Knowing the difference will not only deepen your awareness, but could one day save a life. Number 4, the risk factors you can control. One of the most important truths I have learned in over 30 years of practicing neurology is this. While we cannot change our age or our family history, there are many powerful choices we can control that dramatically lower the risk of stroke. High blood pressure, for example, is the number one factor behind most strokes. When your blood pressure consistently stays above 140/90, it slowly wears down the blood vessels in your brain, making them fragile or clogged. Yet with the right attention, daily walks, less salt in your meals, and staying at a healthy weight, you can bring it down. I have seen patients lower their numbers by making changes as simple as cutting back on processed foods and moving their bodies for 20 minutes a day. Diabetes is another hidden enemy. Extra sugar in the blood damages the vessels that feed the brain. Combine this with high cholesterol, smoking, or obesity, and you create the perfect storm for a blockage. But here again, control is possible. Choosing whole grains, fresh vegetables, lean proteins, and saying no to that extra cigarette or drink of alcohol is not just a diet, it is protection for your brain. Let me pause here and speak directly to you. Have you ever been told by your doctor that your blood pressure or blood sugar is high, but you thought, I will deal with it later? Or maybe you tried to quit smoking or drinking, but found it hard. You are not alone. Many of my patients struggled in the same way. But every step you take, no matter how small, is a step towards safeguarding your memory, your independence, and your family's peace of mind. I would love to hear from you. What small changes have you made in your life that gave you hope for better health? Was it walking with a neighbor, switching to home-cooked meals, or finally putting away the cigarettes? Share your story in the comments. Your words may inspire someone else who is watching this right now. Remember, stroke prevention is not about perfection. It is about progress. Each healthier choice is a gift to your brain. And over time, these small victories add up to stronger years, clearer thoughts, and a life lived on your terms. Number 5, the risks you cannot change and how to outsmart them. Some risk factors for stroke are simply part of life. We cannot turn back the clock on our age. We cannot choose our family history, and we cannot rewrite our genetic code. But here is the hopeful truth. While you cannot erase these risks, you can outsmart them by building a shield through your daily choices. Age is the strongest risk factor. After the age of 55, the chance of having a stroke doubles with each passing decade. That means someone at 75 faces a much greater risk than at 65. But greater risk does not mean a guarantee. I have treated patients in their 80s who never experienced a stroke because they were vigilant about diet, exercise, and medical checkups. Family history is another factor. If your parents or siblings suffered strokes, your risk is higher. But this is not a sentence. It is simply information. It tells you to be more alert, more proactive. Genetics may load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. That is why knowing your background is powerful. It is a reminder to act, not an excuse to surrender. Gender also plays a role. Men are more likely to suffer a stroke, but women are more likely to die from one. This difference makes awareness especially important for women who sometimes dismiss their symptoms as stress or fatigue. Race and ethnicity also matter. Studies reported in the Washington Post show that African Americans face a higher risk of both disability and death from stroke, partly due to higher rates of hypertension. But again, awareness creates strength. If you know you are in a higher risk group, you can double down on prevention. So let me turn to you. Has anyone in your family suffered a stroke? Have you ever wondered what that means for your future? Write your thoughts in the comments because sharing your story could help others feel less alone. The lesson is this: while you cannot change the hand you were dealt, you can decide how to play it. Your daily choices, what you eat, how you move, how you manage stress, can outsmart even the strongest genetic risks. Think of it as building armor for your brain. You may not control the storm, but you can strengthen your shelter. Number 6, recognizing the warning signs in real time. When it comes to stroke, the greatest danger is not always the event itself. It is the delay in recognizing what is happening. Too many people lose precious minutes because they do not see the signs, or they convince themselves it will pass. But when a stroke strikes, time is brain. Every minute wasted means more brain cells lost. One of the simplest tools to remember is the FAST method. F stands for face. Look for drooping on one side of the face. A stands for arm, and ask the person to raise both arms and see if one drifts down. S stands for speech. Listen for slurred or strange words. T stands for time. If any of these signs appear, call emergency services immediately. Do not wait. Do not drive yourself. Do not hope it will fade. In my years of practice, I have seen how easy it is to ignore the smaller, less obvious signs. Sometimes it is a sudden blur in one eye or dizziness that makes it hard to walk straight. Other times it is a moment of confusion when someone cannot remember a simple word. These moments often pass within minutes, but they are still serious. They are warnings, and ignoring them can mean missing the chance to prevent a devastating stroke. Let me pause to speak directly to you. Have you ever seen a loved one's face suddenly look uneven, or heard them speak in a way that did not sound right? Did you hesitate, unsure whether it was serious? If so, you are not alone. Many families face this exact uncertainty. But I urge you, never wait and see. Call for help right away. I invite you to share in the comments. Have you or someone you know ever experienced one of these sudden changes? What did you do? Your story might teach someone else the importance of acting fast. Remember this truth. Strokes do not come with gentle warnings and long deadlines. They strike quickly, and they demand an equally quick response. Recognizing the signs in real time can mean the difference between recovery and lifelong disability, between life and death. That awareness, held in your mind and heart, is your strongest tool of protection. Number 7, TIA, the red flag that saves lives. There is a type of stroke that many people call a mini stroke. The medical term is transient ischemic attack, or TIA. And while the symptoms may disappear within minutes or hours, the danger it signals is very real. A TIA happens when blood flow to a part of the brain is briefly blocked and then restored. The result looks and feels almost exactly like a stroke. Sudden weakness, slurred speech, vision problems, or confusion. The difference is that the symptoms fade quickly, often before you even reach a doctor. Many people breathe a sigh of relief and go on with their day. But that relief can be misleading. Studies reported in the New York Times show that having a TIA means your risk of suffering a full stroke soon after is nearly 10 times higher. In my practice, I have seen patients who ignored their TIA only to return days or weeks later with a major life-changing stroke. It is one of the hardest parts of my work because those outcomes could have been prevented if the warning had been taken seriously. Think of a TIA as the fire alarm in your home. The smoke clears and you convince yourself it was nothing. But what if the alarm was telling you that a real fire was on the way? Ignoring it would be unthinkable. The same is true with your brain. So let me ask you, have you ever felt sudden numbness, dizziness, or difficulty speaking that went away on its own? Did you tell yourself it was nothing? If that has happened, I encourage you to share your experience in the comments. Your story could remind someone else not to brush off the same warning. The lesson here is simple but powerful. Do not wait for symptoms to last before seeking help. A TIA is a gift. It is your brain's way of giving you a second chance. If you respond quickly with medical care, lifestyle changes, and attention, you can stop a disaster before it arrives. Your body is wise. It gives you signals, sometimes in whispers, sometimes in alarms. Listening to those signals and acting on them may be the most important decision you ever make for your health. Number 8, everyday prevention, building your brain's shield. The most powerful way to fight stroke does not begin in the emergency room. It begins in your kitchen, in your living room, and in the quiet choices you make every single day. Prevention is not complicated, but it does require intention. Think of it as building a shield around your brain, one healthy habit at a time. Food is the foundation. A diet filled with fresh vegetables, fruits, whole grains, lean proteins like fish or chicken, and healthy fats such as olive oil is proven to lower stroke risk. On the other hand, heavy salt, processed foods, and too much sugar put constant stress on your blood vessels. I often tell my patients, every meal is either medicine or a slow poison. Choosing wisely adds protection, bite by bite. Movement is another powerful shield. You do not need to run marathons. A brisk walk around your neighborhood, gardening, or gentle stretching in the morning all improve circulation and keep blood pressure under control. The American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate activity per week, but even 10 minutes a day can begin to change your health. Sleep and stress also matter more than people realize. Poor sleep raises blood pressure and makes your heart work harder. Chronic stress floods your body with hormones that damage vessels over time. Creating a nightly routine, practicing deep breathing, or enjoying a hobby can calm your nervous system and give your brain the rest it deserves. Let me pause to ask you, what is one small habit you could start today? Maybe replacing soda with water, taking a short walk after dinner, or turning off screens before bed. Write it in the comments. Sharing your goal might inspire someone else watching this right now. In my 30 years of practice, I have seen remarkable transformations. Patients who once relied on walkers became steadier. Those who feared another stroke regained confidence. The common thread was not a miracle drug. It was the steady, everyday decision to live a little healthier. Remember, prevention is not about perfection. It is about small victories, repeated daily. Each healthy choice is like adding one more brick to the wall that protects your brain. Over time, that wall becomes strong enough to withstand the storms. Number 9, emotional strength, facing fear with hope. When we talk about stroke, it is easy to focus only on fear. The fear of losing independence, the fear of memory slipping away, or the fear of becoming a burden to loved ones. I have seen this fear many times in my office, sitting across from patients in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Their shoulders slump, their voices soften, and they say, "Doctor, I am scared." But here is the truth I want you to hold close. Fear is not the end of the story. Fear can be the beginning of strength. When you face it, when you accept it, you give yourself the chance to choose differently. Over my 30 years of practice, I have watched countless men and women turn their lives around after a warning sign. A retired teacher who started walking every morning after a TMA, a grandfather who learned to cook heart-healthy meals with his grandchildren, a woman in her 70s who joined a local dance class, not to perform, but to keep her balance and bring joy back into her life. These are not miracles. They are small, steady acts of courage. The New York Times once described stroke prevention as a second chance at life. And that is how I see it too. A stroke risk or even a minor episode is not only a crisis, it is also an invitation to care for your brain, to honor your body, and to write a new chapter of health. I want to ask you from the heart, what gives you hope when you think about your health? Is it your family, your faith, your community, or simply the desire to live well each day? Share it in the comments. Your words may encourage someone else who is carrying the same worries right now. Companionship matters. You are not walking this path alone. Every time you choose to eat better, move your body, or manage stress, you are joining thousands of others who are also fighting for brighter years. Imagine the strength of that shared effort. Millions of small decisions adding up to a healthier, more resilient community of older Americans. Fear of stroke is real, but so is the power of hope. And hope is not just a feeling. It is a choice you make daily in how you eat, how you move, how you care for your mind. Choose hope. Protect your brain before it needs saving. And believe that the years ahead can still be strong, steady, and full of life. We began this journey by talking about the hidden whispers of stroke, the hand that slips, the words that falter, the balance that suddenly wavers. Along the way, we uncovered the truth. Stroke is not just a random event. It is a condition shaped by choices, risks, and warning signs that your body often reveals long before the crisis. As a neurologist with 3 decades of experience, I can tell you this with confidence. Awareness is power. Every time you recognize a symptom, lower your blood pressure, eat more mindfully, or move your body with purpose, you are building a shield for your brain. Stroke prevention is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about noticing the small things and acting on them before they grow larger. And here is the most encouraging part. You are never too old to begin. I have seen people in their 70s and 80s regain strength, clarity, and independence simply by making small changes and staying consistent. Your brain is resilient. With the right care, it can surprise you with its ability to heal, adapt, and thrive. So do not let fear be your final word. Let hope and action guide you. I would like to leave you with this thought. Protecting your brain is not just about avoiding disease. It is about preserving the moments that make life worth living. The laughter with family, the walks with friends, the joy of remembering your favorite song. Before we close, I want to hear from you. What part of this conversation resonated most deeply with you? Was it the signs of stroke, the idea of prevention, or the stories of strength and hope? Please share your feelings in the comments. Your reflection may be the gentle reminder that helps someone else choose a healthier path. If today's message has touched you, I invite you to continue learning with me. Watch our next video. Beware. 9 popular medications that trigger rapid dementia. In it, I will uncover how certain drugs, many of them sitting right now in medicine cabinets, can quietly damage memory and accelerate decline. You deserve to know the truth, and you deserve the tools to protect yourself. Subscribe, ring the bell, and share this video with someone you love. Because together, step by step, we can safeguard the most precious gift of all, a strong and vibrant brain for the years ahead.